Do you know the value of the habits that need to be implemented within your life? There are so many things that you might be missing out on in your life if you are not developing the habits that you need to develop on a day-to-day basis. Hey beautiful, welcome back to my channel. Tamia Dawkins here. If you've never seen my face before, I would love to invite you to go ahead and subscribe. On my channel, we talk about all things connected to living the intentional lady life so that you can build a life and a business that I know that you'll absolutely love. So in today's training video, I'm gonna give an amazing book review about this great book that I am currently reading called Atomic Habits by James Clear. I'm gonna let you know the 10 things that I learned from this reading, and I hope that it absolutely inspires you to build new habits, but then at the same time get this book. Let's go ahead and get into it. So I am so tickled by the fact that this book, Atomic Habits by James Clear, is called Atomic Habits, because I feel like every single time I turn on the audiobook to listen to it, he's consistently dropping bombs, right? But at the same time, one thing that's amazing and captivating about the title is the fact that the different habits that he is teaching you, the tiny habits that he is showing you, are absolutely something that can make big impact in your life. If you ever think about anything in your life that you have not been able to achieve, it can be traced back to the fact that you simply did not develop the habit that was necessary in order to do it, because of the fact that you decided not to be consistent at trying to go forth and making sure that you are manifesting with regards to that habit that you are trying to cultivate. And so simply put, the more consistent you are in a particular area, then you can absolutely know, trust, and believe that you will be able to develop a muscle in terms of that habit that you are trying to create in your life. Now, the first thing that this amazing book, Atomic Habits by James Clear, taught me and will absolutely teach you is the importance of making sure that you are building systems that help you to be able to get 1% better on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes we're just not able to process the fact that the habits that we are developing will only be developed over time. And so if I say that I want to be able to run a mile within a month, it's super important that I'm doing that particular thing on a consistent basis. And so not necessarily starting out by trying to every single day walk or jog the whole mile, but making sure that I'm taking small steps, that 1% amount, and making sure that I'm doing this on a consistent basis. From the physical standpoint, your body gets stronger and your body is able to understand and comprehend that you are trying to develop a habit. And so your body will really respond to this. I believe that the body has been wired and made by God to really be able to go with the flow in terms of the habits that you are trying to create in your life. So rather than trying to start at eating the whole pie initially, just cut off piece by piece. And so the more that you create a small win, you need to make sure that you are celebrating and then absolutely consistently building up from there. And so James Clear in this book, Atomic Habits, he is letting you know that you just need to build out very strategic and systematic things that will help you to be able to reach the goal. That might be an app that you download on your phone that will show you the amount of steps that you're walking in the course of a day if you have that 1 mile goal, or an app that will congratulate you if you went ahead and you walked for 5 minutes or whatever have you. You want to just create a system that will help you to be able to produce consistently, and before you know it, you have absolutely reached that habit. And so I absolutely love this tip. Now, you really want to, in this next thing that I learned, make sure that you are breaking old habits and absolutely creating new habits. Sometimes we don't think about life like that, right? I'm breaking old habits and then I'm creating new ones, or getting rid of the bad and creating the good. And so anytime you learn a new habit or you're practicing a new habit, there is literally a gain in terms of your neurological functioning. Anytime you do something that is positive or it's a good habit, there are literally chemicals, happy chemicals they call them, that are released into your brain called dopamine. And when you have this chemical release and you feel accomplished and you feel happy and you feel like you can keep moving forward. So this is why it's super important for you to make sure that you create more good habits than bad ones. Kind of like when you said that you wouldn't consistently eat the whole pack of cookies and you did it, and then what happened? You felt completely bad and depressed, and then you also focused on the fact that you weren't able to reach your goal in terms of maybe when you took your weight at the end of the month. And so you want to make sure that you are focusing on the more good things. So rather than eating the whole pack of cookies next time, maybe focus on just eating one cookie and then scaling back to say maybe I'll just have one in a month. You can definitely apply these same principles in terms of making sure that you are developing good habits over bad habits in your business, rather than just quitting when it comes to building your dream online business. You want to make sure that you're developing good habits. And so for instance, if you know that you have an issue with staying on social media and it's really sucking up a lot of your time, and then by the end of the day or the month with regards to the goals that you set out to reach, you know that you haven't reached them, then scale back and try to develop a productivity habit of making sure that when you are in your workspace, you're turning off all social media. I've done this. I'm telling you something that absolutely works. And so I've turned off all of the notifications on my cell phone. So usually when I'm working, if my husband has to get to me, he does. And then we also have a house phone. So if people really need to get to me, they can. But most of the people that need to know what I'm doing in terms of my business and all those other things, I've already communicated what it is that I'm executing. So it's important for you to communicate what you're doing to your tribe so people don't think that you're acting funny and shady. But then at the same time, it's important for you to put different practices in place so that you can absolutely exchange the bad habits for the good ones. Now, something that I think is amazing with regards to this third tip that James Clear is giving in Atomic Habits is that it is going to take some research, or just some simple intentional observation or research, we'll say. And so what you want to do is make sure that you are observing the people that possibly are around you, or maybe some of the people that you admire. You want to search and do some observing so that you can figure out what common mistakes people make in terms of when they're trying to develop a particular habit versus the mistakes that are not made when they are developing that kind of habit. And so this will look like you making sure that you are kind of looking at the road that other people have taken and trying to make sure that you learn from them and you don't make the exact same mistakes. And so let's say, for instance, your sister, or let's say your colleague or someone that you're working in your business with, they've made different mistakes and they have shared those mistakes with you. Rather than you kind of making the same mistakes, just take notes, not to necessarily go down that path because of the fact that that path didn't necessarily work for them. So there's a possibility that it will not work for you. And so rather than saying that I'm trying to change my habit of not being lazy so that I can build my business, then it's important for you to make sure that you are not around lazy people. That is making a consistent common mistake, even though you said that you're trying to change the habit of becoming more productive and not being lazy and laid back. You have to make sure that you are changing your environment. You have to make sure that you're getting around a tribe of people that are on that same path as you. And obviously, nobody is perfect, but tribes do matter, right? Your tribes will definitely determine what your vibe is going to be in terms of what it is that you give off. If you see amazing ladypreneurs that are building their business, getting that money, making sure that they are inspiring the world, taking care of their families or whatever have you, then that's the tribe of women that you need to be around if you are saying that you want to be a business builder as well. Don't make the mistake of not making sure that you're doing the necessary research with regards to those that you might admire or just different people that are connected to you in your life. You don't want to make the same mistakes that other people make that you basically can avoid. Now, I know that this will take some mindset shifting, kind of saying that I'm making observations of other people so that I don't make the same mistakes, or I don't try to develop different bad habits that other people are developing. Yes, this is why we're human beings. You should be in a mindset where you're learning from the mistakes of other people in terms of how they quote unquote develop new habits, so that you can make sure that you completely avoid that same track of quote unquote destruction. Now, number 4, the book talked about the importance of overcoming just that slope of not having any motivation, just learning how to put practices into place that will help you to consistently remain being an overcomer. And so it's important that we put a plan consistently into practice so that we can continue to show up for ourselves. And so there's something that I teach in terms of making sure that women have a plan for the times when, let's say in their business, they don't necessarily feel like moving forward to execute. Now, we all know that we can't necessarily trust our feelings because they change so much. But if you put a plan for overcoming in terms of some of the different blocks that will come up as you move forward in life, then you'll find that you have a particular strategy that will not stop your productivity or will not stop you from developing this particular new habit that you are working on. So you want to consistently, according to the book, overcome based upon your plan the lack of motivation and willpower. Because if you don't will to do a thing, if you don't will to be motivated, then you will not be. I teach a principle all the time that talks about if you want to be motivated, every single day you have to wake up and own the motivation. You have to put different systems and practices into place. And yes, it's going to take work, but the result of the productivity and the motivation and the willpower, just a consistency of developing different habits that help you to consistently move forward towards your goal, that result is something that is super amazing, and it is worth all of the day-to-day work that has to be done in terms of your mindset and the different lifestyle changes that you need to make. Now, this next tip I absolutely love. James Clear talks about the importance of making sure that you are developing a stronger identity, making sure that you absolutely believe in yourself. Now, I'm a Christian. I'm saved, sanctified, and filled with the Holy Spirit. So for me, my main level in terms of my belief system is based upon my relationship with Christ. I will not be able to fully believe in myself if I do not have an identity in Christ Jesus. I've taken off my own primary identity and taken on the identity of being a woman of God, a Christian. And because of the fact that I have that solid foundation, the different habits that I develop or the different principles that I develop or the different integrity that I have on a day-to-day basis is based in my identity in Christ. And so I don't know if that's something that you'll be able to connect with, but let me let you know that identity is everything. Identity is directly connected to the different actions that you do on a day-to-day basis. And so if you cannot believe in yourself, or if you don't know exactly who you are, then you'll never be able to consistently execute. This is something that you have to make sure that you are doing and you are developing. If you consistently develop different belief systems that will help you to develop your identity, then you're on the path of developing new habits. So I absolutely love what James Clear said in terms of making sure that you are developing a stronger sense of identity so that you can make sure that you have that sense of believing in yourself. And for me, God is absolutely my foundation, and He gives me my total identity so that I can absolutely believe in who it is that I know He has made me to be. This next tip that James Clear gives is everything. He says that it is super important to make time for new habits even when things in life get absolutely crazy. Now, this will obviously take a level of self-discipline. And if you are self-disciplined, then that means that you basically develop that habit. So this could possibly look like making sure that you are self-caring, even when the kids are all over the place and you have to homeschool like me, or either you just have so many different things to do in terms of life. It's important that we make sure that we do not stop developing our consistent habits, which is something that is a lifetime work. It's important that we make sure that we are working on ourselves on a day-to-day basis, not just for ourselves, primarily for ourselves, but absolutely for our families and for the world. So I believe that there has to be different mindset shifts that have to happen in order to get you to that place. Whereas you're saying, no matter how crazy things are all around me, I'm going to make sure that I'm consistently pressing towards the mark. And so you can do this once again by making sure that you're developing a habit of shifting your mind through motivation, through moving forward, but then at the same time pretty much saying that no matter what comes, I'm going to make sure that I work on me. So number 7, James Clear talks about the importance of making sure that you are creating an environment for success. This thing is so real in terms of this tip. So this is the reason why I went ahead and put together my creative space. I hadn't necessarily read this particular part of the tips that he gives in the book in terms of developing atomic habits, but it was something that I knew like internally. And so in order for you to have success, your environment has to consistently produce a level of allowing for you to feel consistently successful in it. And so this might look like you having a vision board, or in my case, I have a poster behind me that is at my desk that helps me to create a conducive environment of success. You will become what it is that you come out of or you hang around. If you would make sure that you intentionally set up environments, whether that has to do with people, whether you're talking about places or just different things that help you to feel that level of success so that you can then become successful in those areas, then you'll definitely see a change in terms of your day-to-day habits. Woo! James Clear is really helping us out. He says that it is super duper important that we make tiny and super duper easy changes on a day-to-day basis so that we can get what? Big results. Wow. Did you ever think about the fact that the tiniest amount of change that you can make on a day-to-day basis can equal you big results? This is something that is so amazing. And if you haven't grabbed hold of it, you totally need to. If you are working on your business every single day, you commit to the fact that you are going to only spend 30 minutes a day working, chipping away at making sure that you're implementing, you are going to see results over time. I'm always super duper intrigued by the different mentors that I have in the business world that show their beginning from where they are now. They've only been able to really produce on the basis that they made a choice to consistently keep moving forward. They consistently made sure that they were making those tiny changes on a day-to-day basis that maybe mentally at the time felt like they didn't count for anything, but they did. And so that's why they were able to make big results. All of the different areas that I've been able to scale at in terms of my business, in terms of my brand, in terms of just building different things, in terms of getting new clients or getting people to pay for different products that I've created. These tiny steps in terms of building out these things only happen because of the fact that I made a mental choice to keep going. And let me let you know, I have a lot on my plate. There's a whole lot, right? On a day-to-day basis, sometimes you don't know the different things that are coming up, but if you commit to the tiny habits, then you will absolutely get the big results. Now, I mentioned the importance of making sure that you are moving forward. Hear me, you cannot stop, don't stop, move forward. And so anytime that you get off course, the book says it's important that you get right back on the track. Even if you feel like an absolute failure, even if you feel like you've quit 55 times, what matters is that you consistently keep showing up. And people will notice this. People will watch you fail, but then they'll have to say at the end of the sentence of the fact that they watch you fail, that they have seen you come back over and over and over again. And this is something that is so inspirational. People never let you know that they're watching your process of becoming. You better believe that they absolutely are. And in order for you to master a thing, you have to keep showing up, even especially in entrepreneurship. If you say that you're going to consistently want to build a business and scale it, make 7 figures, you have to make sure that you are showing up on a day-to-day basis. You might get distracted. Things might get prolonged. You might run out of money. You might not be able to do certain things in terms of developing certain skills on the basis of the resources that you have. But try to figure out exactly how you can utilize what you have now so that you don't absolutely stop. And even if you do, make up in your mind that you are going to move forward towards your goals. Doesn't matter what people think, doesn't matter what people say. It's important that you stay on the track. Now, it is so important in this next particular thing that I learned in the James Clear Atomic Habits book. It's important that we learn how to put different things into practice. We learn in terms of our new habits within real life. Because one thing that I realize is that no matter how much I try to coach people, or how much as a leader in my local church I try to lead people, if people do not have a practical understanding of the different ideas, or let's say the different habits that they want to reach in their lives, if they don't have an understanding of how to implement in day-to-day living, they are not doing it. There's a level of understanding that you have to have behind the habits that you are trying to create and produce in your life. And so don't sit there and act like you have an understanding of a new habit, knowing that you don't. It's kind of like you get on the workout bike, the instructor is telling you to do something, and you know you don't really understand. You don't get it. Say to the instructor, I don't really understand. Can you help me understand? That is an amazing habit to develop, as a matter of fact, especially in mentorship relationships. One of the things that I've noticed is that sometimes people are so prideful in their processes of becoming that they really lack, because of the fact that they don't want to show up and confess that they don't know something. Listen, we were never all put on the earth to know everything, which is why we have different people that are created to show us the way. And so I'll be the first one to stand up. If I don't understand something and I know I have that level of trust in relationships, I'm not going to walk blindly and act like I know. I'm going to ask the questions. So according to James Clear, he says that it is super important that you learn how to put the different ideas and basically the new habits into place so that they can become your absolute reality. All right, ladies, make sure that you grab this great and amazing book, Atomic Habits. It's going to help you in terms of your developmental processes, whether you're talking about in life, in motherhood, in business, whatever have you. Make sure that you grab the book. Now, there's one more thing that I absolutely have to let you know, and that is I believe in you. I'll see you ladies here again soon. Ciao.